Hi guys, I am here to talk to you about your last fraction standard, well not your last fraction standard, your last fraction standard relating to multiplication. This standard is NF6 and it says that we can solve real world problems involving multiplication of fractions and mixed numbers using visual fraction models or equations to represent the problem. Our learning target is I can solve real world problems involving multiplication of fractions and mixed numbers. This is the first time that mixed numbers have come into our standard, and I want to address how to multiply with mixed numbers and as well as the common misconceptions that come from multiplying with mixed numbers. So we've got a situation here. It says Miss Heather needs to triple the recipe for Thanksgiving. Help her rewrite it to feed 36 people. So we've got some quantities here. We need to triple those or multiply them by 3. So to start with, I have 2.5 cups times 3. And basically you have two options when you have a mixed number multiplication problem. The answer here is simply not to multiply. What a lot of kids would like to do is just multiply the 2 and the 3 and get 6.5, but that would not be right. You have two options when you do this. Number one option is you can use a box method. Okay, and put your 3 here, your 2 here, and your half here. You can do 3 times 2 is 6, and then 3 times the half. So 3 times 1 is 3, and the 2 stays the same. 3 halves is 1.5. So if you add those together, you get 7.5. And that makes sense. That's a pretty easy one. I could probably add that in my head. 2.5, 2.5 makes 5. 5 and 1/2, 5 and 2.5 make 7.5. I'll show you a more complicated one in just a second. First, let me show you with sugar what your other option is for multiplying with mixed numbers. So you have 1 2/3, and you need to multiply that times 3. Okay, so option number 1 is the box method. Option number 2 is to change this to an improper fraction and then multiply straight across. So if I wanted to do that, I would do 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 makes 5. And I would change the 1 2/3 into 5/3 and then multiply by 3. Put the 3 over 1, 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 1 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I'm going to need 5 cups of sugar. All right. Yeah, so option number 1 is the box. Option number 2 is to convert them. I'm going to show you why that's necessary in just a second. So I can easily do 2 sticks of butter times 3 is 6 sticks of butter. And 1 egg times 3 is 3 eggs. And then half a teaspoon of vanilla, half a teaspoon times 3 equals 3 halves, which equals 1.5 teaspoons. And our task is done. Now you're like, oh, Miss Heather, that doesn't look very complicated. You're right. But if I have to multiply for any reason 2 mixed numbers, okay? Let's make a little side note. So say I was asked to multiply 2.5 times 3 and 2/3. Okay, so the most common mistake that kids do is they'll do the 2 times 3 and give me 6, and they'll do a half times a third or 2/3 and give me 2 6. So they say the answer is 6 and 2/6, and that's wrong. And let me show you why it's wrong. If you put that in a box method, okay, I've got 2.5 times 3 and 2/3. So when you multiplied your 2 times your 3, you did this box, and you got 6. When you multiplied your half times 2/3, you did this box. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. What you missed was this box and this box. That's why that answer is never going to be right. And I promise you, on every multiple choice test you will ever take, 6 and 2 6 is going to be a choice. You're going to see it and you're like, oh yeah, I'm right. It's right there. It's not. It's there to trick you, to trap you, to confuse you. So that's why I like the box method for mixed numbers. 2 times 2/3. 2 times 2 is 4. The 3 would say the same. 4/3 is equal to 1 and 1/3. And then down here, we have 3 times a half. 3 times 1 is 3 over 2. 3 halves equals 1 and a half. Now, the problem is that once you do that, you still have to add all those together. And that's a lot of work. So we've got 6, 1 and 1/3. We've got 1 and a half. And we've got 2 6. So I got to find a common denominator for 2, 3, and 6, which is 6. Times 3 on the bottom times 3 on the top. Times 2 on the bottom times 2 on the top. Add them all up. 2 and 3 is 5. That makes 7. That's 7/6. And over here we have 1, 2. We have 8. 8 and 7/6. We got to change the 7/6 to, that would be 9 and 1/6. All right, so pick your poison. That's a lot of trouble. If I do it with where I change it to a improper fraction, then I would get this. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 makes 5 halves, times 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 makes 11/3. Then I've got to do 5 times 11 is 55. 2 times 3 is 6. I've got to do 55 divided by 6. It goes in, 6 goes into 55. 9 times 6 is 54. Subtract 1 left over, 9 and 1, 6. So in the case of this one, that was probably the easier method to do. It just depends on what you're more comfortable with. Are you more comfortable adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, or are you more comfortable converting numbers, fractions to mixed numbers, and then are you comfortable with the division? Because sometimes you get some ugly numbers. I mean, 6 and 55 is not real ugly, but it could get ugly. So it's just going to be pick your poison. It's not fun. It is tedious to multiply mixed numbers. Whatever method works best for you is the one you probably need to pick and stick with. We're going to practice this week. You guys are going to get it. Bye.